Okay, guys, our final part is finally multiplying. So please write example 3. And then this is what the problem is. It's the square root of negative 49 times the square root of negative 4. No plus or minus at all. So, y'all, 49 is perfect. What's the root of 49? What's the root of negative 49? 7i. Good job. Good job. Not negative 7. 7i. So please write 7i times, and the square root of negative 4 is what?
2.
Yeah. Yeah, well, kind of. So remember, we are multiplying. And since we are multiplying, you get to rewrite it in any order that you want to. Guys, I am rewriting this by category. So I'm going to put my two reals together. So it's going to be 7 times 2. And then I'm going to put my imaginary together. How many? What's I times I? I squared. Good. So 7 times 2 is what? Okay, so 7 times 2 is 14. Y'all, what is I squared? What's I squared? What's that? Look over there.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. It's a real number. So 14 times negative 1 gives us an answer of negative 14. That's what you box in. All right, let's do it again. Let's look at example 4. So it's going to be 4 times the root of negative 36 times 2i root negative 16. So again, we're going to simplify our roots first. We're going to do it by category, and then we're going to move on and simplify from there. Remember, you can never, ever, ever have an I with an exponent in your answer. Cannot do that. All right, so it is going to be 4 times the root of negative 36. What is that?
6.
Yes, 6i. Recopy the times 2i. And then what is the root of negative 16? 4. Yeah. And then from here, y'all, I'm rewriting it by category. So I'm putting all my reals together. So it's going to be 4 times 6 times 2 times 4. And then how many i's are there?
3.
Yeah, there's 3 i's. So take my word for it. 4 times 6 times 2 times 4 is 192. And y'all, what is I to the third simplify to? Negative I. What's a positive times a negative? Yes, you guys have to put that negative in front. So your final answer is negative 192I. Any questions on that one? Okay, so example 3, example 4. This next example, you know what? This is going to be a free example. This is just free of charge. Don't put a number next to this. Let me see if you remember. It's still multiply. But we're going to go old school. Shall I remember what to do in this? What do I do here? I foil. Who said foil? Oh, it's the first time I heard foil all day. I didn't think your Algebra 1 teacher has taught you foil. I heard distribute all day, which is right. That's like the real math term. But yes, I am going to foil. And guys, watch how I do this. I'm going to write the word foil across the write the products underneath them. So the F, remember, stands for the two first terms. So what's 3x times 2x? 6x squared, yes. So let's write 6x squared underneath the F. And then remember, the O stands for the two outside. So a positive 3x times a negative 3. So that's going to be minus 9x. Now I'm going to do the two inside terms. So it's going to be 1 times 2x, so just plus 2x. And then the two last terms, a positive 1 and a negative 3, just negative 3. And then remember, we always were able to combine those. So that is factored form of a quadratic. The standard form of the same exact equation is 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. So remember, that's standard form. Hey, here's some more free stuff for you.
Tell us.
Okay, do you guys remember what the y... Well, you tell me. Do you guys remember what the y-intercept is?
It's that. Negative 3.
Remember, it's the C value, yes. And then does this graph open up or down? It opens up, good. Is it vertically stretched or compressed?
Stretched.
By a factor of?
6.
Very good. Just 6, good. Okay, so we are still going to FOIL, but we're dealing with complex numbers, so let me show you how to multiply two binomial complex numbers together. So please write this down. Okay, please write that down. And we're going to be rolling here. So when you multiply two complex numbers, the two last terms is kind of the hardest part. So after you write this down, we're going to do the same thing. Let's write the word FOIL. Guys, write it all the way across the width of your paper. All the way across. Use that space. Don't be stingy with it. But we're going to work backwards. We're going to do the hardest part first. So skip a few lines and write L down here because we're going to multiply the two last terms together first. So the two last terms are positive 2i and negative 7i. So let's write positive 2i times negative 7i. And then guys, I'm going to reorder them by category. I'm going to do positive 2 times negative 7 times, again, how many i's are there? So I'm going to write I squared. I'm going to multiply my real parts together. 2 times negative 7, of course, is negative 14. And what does I squared equal again? Negative 1. Good. So for the L, you guys write a plus 14. Write a plus 14 below the letter L. And the deal with complex numbers, once you do that, the rest is easy. A lot easier. So our first term is just 5 times 6. I'm just going to write a 30 there. And then our two outside terms, guys, what's a positive 5 times a negative 7i? Negative. Make sure you write the minus. And then what do I put below the letter I? Yes, very good. So write a plus because it's positive. And then that's it. We're just going to combine. But what do you guys notice? The two inside numbers combine, but that's not the only thing that combines. The two outside numbers combine too. So let's write the real part first. Let's write 44 first. I'm just going to write it below here. So it's going to be 44 minus a 12 and a 35 is going to give me a negative 23. You do have to write the real part first. Don't forget to do that. Okay, so you will be asked to square a complex number. I know that I need to square this complex number because it has the exponent of 2. Y'all remember you can't just distribute that exponent. We have to FOIL. So I'm going to rewrite this in the long form. And then right below that, I'm writing the word FOIL across the width of my paper. And then I'm starting with the last. So remember, the last two terms are the same, negative 3i and negative 3i. So negative 3i times negative 3i. I'm going to regroup by category. So negative 3 times negative 3 times what? I squared. So negative 3 times a negative 3 is a positive 9. And again, I squared is negative 1. So guys, we're going to write minus 9 up here. Okay, now for the rest of the part's easy. 2 times 2 for the first terms, that's just a 4. The two outside terms together, a positive 2 times a negative 3i is negative 6i. They both are very good, and it is always going to be like that when you square a binomial. The two inside terms are going to be identical. So when we combine the real part, it's going to be negative 5, and your imaginary part is minus 12i. Okay, this is the final problem that we're going to talk about. So remember, we are foiling. So same process. I'm going to write FOIL across the width of my paper, and I am for sure doing the last part first because that is really involved. So I'm going to multiply the two last terms together. The first last term is negative 2i root 5. So it's going to be negative 2i root 5 times I root 5. And guys, categorize them. I'm going to put all of my real numbers together. I'm going to put my i's together, and I'm going to put my roots together. The only real number I have is a negative 2, so it's going to be negative 2, and now I'm going to put my i's together. How many i's are there? I squared. Now I'm going to put my roots together. So root 5 times root 5. All right, so negative 2 times, again, what is I squared? Negative 1. We certainly should have that memorized. And then you guys should know this from geometry. What's root 5 times root 5? Just 5. Root 5 times root 5 is like root 25, but the root of that's just 5. When you multiply a root times itself, it knocks out the root. The root just goes away. So guys, what is negative 2 times negative 1 times 5? Yes. So please write a plus 10 right below the letter L. And then let's FOIL. So the first two terms, a 3 times a 2 is a 6. My two outside terms, if you look at the two outside terms, I have a real, an I, and a root. Just put them all together. So this is plus 3i root 5. And then my two inside terms, first of all, the two inside terms is a positive times a negative. So I know it's going to be a negative something. So y'all, I'm just going to multiply my 2's together and then stick everything else together. So 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, it's I root 5. So we can combine everything. We're just going to have a real and an imaginary. Our real part's 16. And then just do the coefficients in front. What's a 3 minus 4? What kind of 1? Yeah, 3 minus 4 is -1. So you can write the 1, guys, but that looks silly. Write it like this. You look smart when you don't write the 1. And that's the answer. We're going to box that in. Do you guys